AITA for cussing and getting drunk in front of my kindergarten students. I'm a kindergarten teacher. I teach in-person classes that are socially distanced, as well as online classes. Last weekend was my 27th birthday. Went to a restaurant with a couple friends for outdoor dining. While we were there, two moms come in with their children and are seated behind me. I recognize them as students in my in-person class. They say hi to me, and I say hi back, but then don't interact further. Through dinner, I'm just enjoying my time with my friends. I have a few glasses of wine and get a little tipsy, not rowdy or obnoxious or anything. I'm conversing normally with my friends, occasionally using cuss words like fuck or shit or damn. Not excessively, just the way some people would in everyday conversation. Maybe a little more than I would have if I were not tipsy, but again, I'm not speaking loudly or anything. Just having normal conversations with my friends. One of the moms then comes over to me and reminds me that my students were there, and that I shouldn't be drinking and cursing in front of them. Since I'm their teacher, it was my job to set a good example to them. I just told her I was off the clock and that if it was bothering her, she could move or stop listening to me. She got all huffy, and they soon left. Earlier this week, I was called down by the principal who was with that mom in his office. She was angry and complained that I was setting a bad example for my students. And now her daughter was using some of the same words I was using, saying that if her teacher can say it, so can she. He asked for my side of the story, and I just explained exactly what happened. Given that she verified my story, he told her that I was not their teacher at the time, and since I wasn't doing anything wrong, they couldn't control my behavior off the clock. She protested a bit, but eventually left, but called me a terrible teacher. I thanked the principal for backing me up, but then he suggested maybe that one time I should have just stopped drinking and using foul language. I really didn't think this was a problem, since wasn't acting out. Just talking casually and enjoying a couple glasses of wine. But am I really the asshole for drinking and using foul language in front of my students while off the clock? Edit: I was not loud or belligerent or excessively drunk. I had 2 glasses of wine. And when I say I was tipsy, that's a bit of an exaggeration. It takes more than 2 glasses of wine for me to start feeling anything. I wasn't screaming obscenities. I was just using slightly foul language in casual conversation. For example, the news is shit. It's too damn hot to be fall. ESH. I was leaning NTA, but you seem to be arguing pretty hard in the comments that you bear absolutely no responsibility here. Mom absolutely should not have addressed this with you or the school because you're a person who can enjoy a personal life. Little kids will always idolize you as a teacher though. Seems like your attitude towards that is a giant fuck you, I'm off the clock. It's not hard to be a little sensitive to the kids' needs in the real world. NTA, it's honestly my biggest pet peeve that people don't think teachers have a life outside of school. You are allowed to have a life. This mom needs to back the heck off. Look, people are going to tell you that you're not the asshole because they do understand that teachers are human, too, and should be treated as such. That being said, I am going to go with the SH. Don't think you're an asshole for wanting to celebrate and relax, but you are an asshole for being too loud and not toning it down when asked. The mother didn't seem rude when she reminded you that their children were present, but you more or less told her to get lost. As someone else pointed out, you had to have been loud, especially in a socially distanced atmosphere, for them to hear you to begin with. The mom sucks for taking her dig at you when she called you a terrible teacher. But she did follow the chain of command. She went to you first, then she went to your principal when you didn't respond. She's not wrong for that, just for her insult. The mothers are not wrong to expect you to act professionally around their children. You have to draw a line between your personal life and public life when you choose to work with kids. Also, don't be surprised when the kids ask you questions about that day and repeat some of your more colorful language in class. Edited my judgment upon further reflection. Op should know what was expected of her when she went through her training. NTA. They can't expect you to be the teacher 24/7. Also, it's a nice teachable moment the mothers could have used, but chose not to. 1. Words don't have power, unless you give them power. Fuck is just a 4-letter word, no different than ball. 2. Teachers are people, too. AITA for deleting my work on a project when I was forced to give my part to someone else. This turned into a mess really quickly. I'm in high school, obviously online right now, and last week we got assigned a group project. It's basically a website, and each page is supposed to be on a different subject. Some pages have much more work than others. Here one page has 3 sections, another has 2, etc. My group had 4 members, so we all agreed to split it up and everyone would do a page. We were also supposed to do a video. We were assigned it on Tuesday, and our next class after that was on Thursday. I was doing page 3, and had made some pretty good progress, setting up the page and some subpages, adding links, and some content. It's worth noting that this took a while since my page has 3 sections and the most work. Nobody else had really started their sections since we have a few weeks. Basically we start on Thursday, get put into our breakout rooms, and start talking ABT the project and what everyone's doing. I say I'm doing page 3 and she goes, "What? No, I'm doing page 3. You're doing the video." She had never brought this up before. On Tuesday, when everyone was making the pages for their section on the site, she didn't make the page for section 3, in fact, she didn't even do anything. She made the website and then ghosted us for the rest of class, with her camera aimed up towards the ceiling so we couldn't see her face and not responding to any questions. I told her she should do the video since I'd already made progress on page 3 and she refused. She was making a huge fuss over it, threatening to email the teacher, lol, and my other group members eventually sent me a private message to tell me to just let her have it and do the video instead. Okay, I thought, and went off mute to tell her she could do it. She immediately changed her tune and perked up. Then I went onto the website and deleted my page completely because fuck her. She could set up her own page and do her own damn work. This is on Google Sites, so it's not a huge thing and takes 3 clicks. But she started yelling at me and I basically told her to shut the hell up and she could do her own work like the rest of us. Class ended at that point, thank God, so I didn't have to listen to her anymore, and it's an individual grade so it doesn't really affect me. Now she's bitching ABT it to anyone who will listen and I'm wondering if I made a mistake and should have just let her have it. NTA and let your teacher know about this. It's supposed to be graded individually, but your classmate might try to say you sabotaged her somehow. And to add, email your part you did and delete it just in case someone got a hold of it and tries to pass it on to her. NTA. She obviously just wanted your page because you had already worked on it and she thought it would mean less work for her than making a video. If she wants to do that page, she can do it all herself. No, I'm making page 3. Okay, deletes page 3. What are you doing? Now I have to make page 3. That's what you claim to have wanted. NTA, let her do her own work. Why should she receive credit for your work? Page 3 is not your problem, smile. You have, now, agreed to do the video. I am sure you will do an excellent job. Let her age at you, to anyone who will listen, for deleting your work on page 3. Feel free to laugh as she explains why she is entitled to piggyback onto your work. Going forward, do make an effort not to be teamed with her, again. You are NTA. AITA for getting a teacher fired over my son's head tattoo. My son, just turned 16, has had alopecia since he was young. For those of you who don't know, his hair falls out. It can progress with severe stress, and since elementary school, has been bullied mercilessly for it. The only real treatment was these injections into his scalp, which, as I'm sure you can imagine, are super painful. It was getting to the point that he'd become anxious closer to the doctor's visits, so I started looking at different options. I came across micropigmentation, and suggested it to my son. He agreed that this seemed like the best option, and so for his birthday, I managed to get an appointment set up under his doctor's recommendation, which made it totally legal. We drove 2 hours out of our way, and spent the weekend in a larger city to get this done, since our town is fairly small. I don't know how to describe it. Even if it's buzzed, this stuff looks so real. and his confidence is just through the roof. He's no longer hiding under hats. He feels so confident with his new hair, and it's just really great to see. I'm honestly so glad that we made the decision, because now we can just move on from all of this. It's a huge weight lifted off of his shoulders every day. His school, however, thinks otherwise. He goes to a pretty strict Catholic school. Admittedly, I should have probably asked first, but I had flipped through the guidebook and saw nothing about tattoos in their policy. However, I got an angry email on Monday evening from a substitute teacher. She overheard my son explaining his procedure and felt compelled to tell me how this mutilation is illegal and unacceptable. I tried to explain, but she refused, and continued to tear into me and him over this, going so far as to call me an irresponsible father for allowing my son to get a head tattoo. She called him a bad example, and said that in no way is this acceptable under school rules. Well, here's where I may be the R. That admittedly pissed me off a lot. So, I contacted not just the principal, but also a friend of mine who's on the board and the head of school, and forwarded them the conversation, with highlights, along with my own very strongly worded letter, and other emails documenting the times that my son experienced bullying at that school, with minimum, if any, repercussion to those involved. I'll admit I was angry, but I threatened to sue them for discrimination. Needless to say, this prompted a lot. Apparently the board is panicked about this, and the sub was fired. Word has gotten around due to the gravity of it all, and a few parents have called me the R, saying that I took the threats too far, as this substitute was not a normal part of the school, and I shouldn't have taken such an aggressive approach. AITA for getting this woman fired over this, and also for causing such a stir. AITA for clarification, they did not tell me we fired her. It was a much wordier way of putting it, along the lines of, well, I can't really say what sort of action the school will be taking on this matter, but I can assure you that you will not encounter her again. That information was relayed to me over the phone, so I don't remember the exact wording, but it was something like that. This is extra hard, because she had taught some of the parents of kids who go there now, and had since retired and become a sub. She was known for calling parents up at night when students were out of line, and it wasn't my first encounter with her. The previous ones were borderline. Son came to class with a hood or hat on, so those I'd say she was more or less valid with, but this was way different. Edit. Wow, this blew up. I never expected it. I've read through the comments, still have about 300 to go, but cannot reply to them all. I just want to thank you all, especially those with alopecia, for your kind words and shared stories. I wanted to add some points here to answer some questions. Mother is, and will always be, in the picture. She's from New Zealand, and last February went to visit. COVID happened, and then some family matters, illness and deaths, which have caused her to stay for the foreseeable future. We are hoping she will be back this spring, but it is still tentative. She has my back on this, but at the moment we've decided that the healthiest thing to do is for me to be the parent with the focus on our son while she focuses on caring and advocating for her nieces, who will most likely be joining our family. She was aware of all of this, but we've agreed for a while now that it's my son's decision on his treatment. Alopecia doesn't affect you other than hair falling out. I wouldn't consider my son disabled, especially because I know many families who have it much worse with children who have conditions. That being said, it's definitely devastating to a child, even if they are healthy. For those asking more about the micropigmentation, my son will need another 1 to 2 more. We worried about his big patches, so he's still got some more to go, but we will just be doing his whole head. We've decided against the eyebrows for now, because we don't know how well that can really be replicated. He will be done by the end of December, due to the school calendar. I'm aware micropigmentation isn't a tattoo. We just call it a tattoo because it's easier and it's fun to joke about. We are looking for him to switch schools. The parents who told me I was out of line are the ones who had the sub as their English teacher back in the day. They've said that's just how she is, and they still see her as their teacher. It's a really unhealthy dynamic, yes, but it exists. Please do not waste your money on me with the rewards. This is a throwaway. Finally, if you're gonna tell me I'm TA and send me hate, just do it here. Stop being a coward. This is like 2 in 1,000, but come on. Do you have nothing better to do? Another edit. Thank you for the people who went out of their way to cross-post this. particularly the one who did it as satire. Posting to r/AmItheAsshole so that you and your friends can laugh over the story and claim that I'm just looking for validation is ridiculous. You look ridiculous. Get a better hobby. Stop assuming that you know everything from one little glimpse into my son's life.